I don't know if you've noticed this lately, but there's been some changes going on. Obviously with Lionel Messi, but we'll get to that in a moment. No, I'm talking about this beard. All right. Now, if you've not kept up with the weather developments in New York City, I have some news for you. It's been colder than Alaska for the last couple of weeks. I mean, actually, that's not even something I'm making up. That is a real headline that came out. It's been so cold that I have to wear fuzzy socks and slippers under this desk because only the above area of the desk is actually warm, and underneath it, it is an actual refrigerator. And if I didn't do that, I'd look like one of those people trying to limp off Mount Everest without 4 of my toes after one of these video recording sessions. So obviously we don't want that to happen, but some of you have started to notice that the beard is getting a little long. And all I'm telling you is there's a reason for that. If it doesn't happen, not only will I look just a little boyish for you to take me seriously, like if I do actually shave this all the way off, I won't be able to feel my face. If I look out the window, let alone actually go outside, Jack Frost will come over here and freeze me solid, like one of those weird square ice cubes that you get at bars sometimes, but apparently they melt a lot slower than multiple ice cubes because of surface area, and so that's better for long sipping drinks. I've been watching a lot of Bar Rescue as well, so learned a lot of things. But the beard, it's sticking around for the time being. So get used to the fact that it looks like I have a pillow strapped to my chin because it's warm. Now to the Lionel Messi drama. Right? Obviously, everything Lionel Messi does, if he puts his socks on the wrong way, somebody's going to write an article about it. But I found this actually interesting because Lionel Messi's been in his dark era for a while. You know what I mean? I mean, he's been moody. He's been, more aggressive than he was the majority of his career. We've all kind of gotten used to it. It kind of hit the mainstream at the World Cup, right, where he was squaring up with other teams and talking trash and everything. But Lionel Messi didn't used to be this guy. He is this guy now. He's ferocious. He's more vocal. And honestly, seems like a more inspiring leader, I guess, because of it. But every once in a while, it gets just a little bizarre. So Inter Miami started its season. Keep in mind, even though Inter Miami didn't win MLS Cup because they got caught in a shocking playoff upset against Atlanta United, they did set the record for the most points ever accumulated in the regular season of MLS. I mean, ever. They set the whole record for the most points ever accumulated in a regular season. Now, you can argue the efficacy of the playoffs, all of a sudden banishing that team to the shadow realm because they lost home and away against Atlanta United after such a ridiculous season. But the point is that the pressure is on. And they didn't quite live up to that pressure in the opening match of the season. I mean, sure, they scored 5 minutes in, but in the 23rd minute, Inter Miami had a player sent off and then managed to go behind at home until a 100th minute goal by Tomas Segovia, a 21-year-old up-and-coming star on Inter Miami. He's obviously got some good players to learn from in that department. But after the game, Lionel Messi was a little upset. Okay, and we talked about this, of course, on the podcast I do with Julian Gressel, who plays for Inter Miami. And I asked him about what was going on. He said that, Lionel Messi was a little upset about a call that had happened but before the end of the game, where a player could have been given a second yellow card. And Julian also believed that a player should have been given a second yellow card. And so Lionel Messi kind of went in at the referee. This is after the game, mind you. The game is over. Inter Miami has already scored to make it 2-2, but Lionel Messi is taking exception. Now, this is not the first time that we have seen players take exception with MLS referees. And I don't necessarily, let's just say I'm not surprised. All right, because refereeing a player like Lionel Messi is not something that is typically outlined in the MLS job description. And to be perfectly honest, as much as MLS has raised its level, right, it is a second-rate league at best in the world. That means you're working with second-rate referees. These are not referees that are used to administering or controlling games or correctly calling games at the level of that somebody like Lionel Messi is used to, right? And there were some there were growing pains and some adjustment pains with that whole process last year. They seem to be hitting again, right? It's the same thing as if you play a professional footballer. Now all of a sudden you're playing Sunday League. Probably it's not that it's not that big of a gap, but now you're playing Sunday League and the ref just makes a horrible call and you're sitting there going, well, I'm not used to that not being called, but he really follows him around. And I give the ref a lot of credit here because Messi is in his grill, right? I mean, if this was the referee that was reffing that Real Madrid game where Jude Bellingham got a red for just saying, fuck you, Messi would have gotten 4 red cards by now. Now, obviously, it's after the match, but as you and I and everybody else knows, you can still get cards after the match that will then affect you like any other card that could have happened in between the whistles. Okay, and this ref has given him multiple chances and keeps telling him to go away, right? He's given him the double palms, he's given him the point, he's given him everything, but Messi's not giving up on it, right? He continues to follow him around, and usually if you ever hear these sorts of arguments that players are making, it's, well, why did you do this? And why did you do this? And why did you do this? And they keep asking the same question over and over again, and it seems like that's what Messi's doing, and he finally goes in for the last bite of the apple that leads the referee to actually hand out a red card. And then where it can get really dangerous, and this is when you know that there's some head loss involved, he goes back in. You've already gotten a yellow card, right? You're rolling the dice here after a match that you came back to draw. Obviously, you're upset with the fact you got an early red card. You're upset with the fact that they didn't get a red card that you believed they should have gotten, right? And you're upset with the way that the game was officiated in general. But Messi goes in for a pretty significant second bite after getting a yellow. My initial response is obviously, I'm surprised Messi cares this much. I really am. I remember when I was watching Wayne Rooney playing in MLS, and it was refreshing after guys like Steven Gerrard or Andrea Pirlo came over and clearly didn't take it that seriously to see somebody that was really busting their ass. Wayne Rooney played his ass off. He elevated DC United. He was a great MLS player while he was here. And from the moment Lionel Messi got to MLS, in a situation where if you are somebody that has played at the top level of the sport from the time you were 16, you are now stepping into the United States, into a league that particularly in Europe is looked down upon, is jeered at, even though the level is clearly pretty high and it exports players to top leagues fairly regularly. Latest evidence, John Duran, right? It's a league that is not taken seriously based off of past experience and preconceived notions by a lot of people. And it turned out from very early going that Lionel Messi was not one of those people. But to be perfectly honest, I don't really know exactly what's going on with Messi other than I know that over the last 3 years, something has been different. Something has clicked for him. I don't know if he just gives less of his shit. Like, I mean, that wasn't even the end of this video. He's walking off. After talking to the ref and everything, he's going to end up involved in a pretty intense discussion with a member of the coaching staff. This is a member of a coaching staff that he is explicitly responsible for bringing to Inter Miami. The new coach is Javier Mascherano. The dude, while he did coach the Argentine U20 national team, probably wouldn't have gotten the job, wouldn't be capable of getting the job unless Lionel Messi was his friend. Right? He's there because Messi wanted him there. This coaching staff is there because Messi wanted him there. It's the classic LeBron James fallacy where, there is no illusion over who the actual leader of the team is. And even with a member of a coaching staff that he has explicitly installed, they get into a pretty intense conversation about whatever they're talking about. And at the end of it, I think it was overly misconstrued, but Lionel Messi does actually kind of put his hands in the back of the neck of the coach and add some kind of choice words for him. I mean, Messi is hot. And I just never saw this side of Lionel Messi playing with Barcelona. I don't know if I wasn't looking. I don't know if they just didn't show it. I feel like they would have. Right? But Lionel Messi is different gravy. He's a bit of a firebrand. He's a bit of a spark plug in MLS all of a sudden. And this draw was not good enough. I mean, it means a lot to him. And MLS means a lot to a lot of people. Now it does, right? And Inter Miami's coming off that historic season where they didn't win anything. And so apparently Messi is absolutely, utterly, and completely determined to actually go win the big one. And starting with a draw when he feels like the referee wasn't up to par, just set him off. But bro, we're one game into the season and we're getting this. I have a feeling, you can bookmark it, not the last time we see this sort of activity out of Lionel Messi. We might be in for a bit of a wild season. With Messi's attitude. I mean, honestly, I kind of like it. He can have that swagger. He's Messi. And that get me going. If I was playing on that team.